The novel sets itself on the Day of the Dead in Cuauhnac, Mexico, and focuses on the British consul to Mexico, Geoffrey Furman. Geoffrey is an extreme alcoholic who is unaware that he is drinking himself to death. However, his ex-wife and brother return to make amends with the consul since they had previously gotten married. The novel encompasses the depth of the consul's struggle and pain, and ultimately his demise. Under the Volcano was ranked number 11 in the Modern Library's 100 Best English Language Novels of the 20th Century. Malcolm Lowry was born in Cheshire, England in 1909, and from the age of 14, alcohol and literature had dominated his life. He eventually died in 1959 due to alcoholism. This is significant because his real-life struggles are being exemplified in his character in Under the Volcano. Lowry is best known for his work in Ultramarine and Under the Volcano. His works mainly reflect his current life situation. For example, during his marriage, Lowry wrote October Fairy to Gabriola, which tells a happy tale of the great times with his wife. However, his life began spiraling downward after he began heavily drinking again. The story focuses on Geoffrey Furman, the British consul to Mexico. Geoffrey was born in India with his brother Hugh, but was eventually relocated to England when his mother died and his father walked away from the family. He is constantly in and out of his feelings and has a very difficult time coping with his divorce with his wife Yvonne. To cope with his problems, he begins drinking and cannot manage to stop. His wife, Yvonne Constable, has briefly been in the acting business, but her career soon failed. After Yvonne and Geoffrey's divorce, she had gotten married to Hugh, the consul's brother. Lastly, Jacques M. Laurel is one of the consul's childhood friends and also has an affair with Yvonne. A dependency on alcohol or other means of substance abuse does not only hurt the one suffering from the action, but also the surrounding individuals. Jean Kilbourne once said, "Addiction begins with the hope that something out there can instantly fill up the emptiness inside." Her words have completely embodied the novel Under the Volcano by Malcolm Lowry. The novel encompasses the devastating life of Geoffrey Furman, the British consul to Mexico. His life contains misery, depression, and addiction, and the situation with his ex-wife Yvonne does not aid the process of recovery. His life spirals downward when he begins heavily drinking to try and slow down the pain of his relationship. I do not recommend the book because it is a drag. It allows for the reader to easily get bored with the novel and the plot, simply because of its negative connotations. The thematic elements are characterization, symbolism, and tone. For characterization, the quote that I got from the article was, "In consequence, the consul has a series of doubles who at every point reflect and mirror his own inadequacy and doom." And the quote from the book is, "Closing his eyes again, standing there, glass in hand, he thought for a minute with the freezing, detached, almost amused calm of the dreadful night inevitably waiting for him." These two quotes basically show that the consul constantly lacks heroic qualities that are normally in books. He has a hard time conquering his feelings, and with that comes many failures. Next is symbolism, and for the quote from the article I said, "A major symbol reoccurring throughout the text is a large Ferris wheel erected from the entertainment of the Day of the Dead. The Ferris wheel is the all-embracing symbol of this logic on the thematic level, an infernal machine." Next from the book, the quote I chose was, "The Ferris wheel sank from sight. The sounds of the fair, the music, instead of coming closer, had temporarily ceased." Throughout the novel, mostly M. Laurel and the consul constantly talk about the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel symbolizes kind of that happiness and hope in their life that is ultimately never achieved because they constantly talk about it being far away or out of sight or dark or dim. Lastly, for tone, the quote from the article I used was, "Another source of suspense or tension in Under the Volcano is our sense that the consul is engaged in a struggle of almost epic significance against dark, demonic, and terrifying forces." And the quote from the book was, "God, how pointless and empty the world is. Days filled with cheap and tarnished moments succeed each other. Restless and haunted nights follow in bitter routine. The sun shines without brightness, and the moon rises without light." These two quotes kind of summarize the tone of the whole novel, basically saying that it's very gloomy and monochromatic, and that there's not really anything exciting going on, especially throughout the consul's struggle with alcoholism. The tone in the novel definitely gets more depressing and demonic, almost to the point where you're almost kind of disturbed to read it.